Hello and welcome. My name is Natalie from the Institutional Banking team in Australia, and thank you for joining me for this ANZ Transactive Global Digital Services Security Features webinar. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge that I'm joining you from Perth, the lands of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the various lands which you are joining from today. I pay my respects to elders past and present and to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples joining us today. Our training webinars are designed to help you unlock the full potential and get the most out of ANZ Transactive Global, our digital web and mobile banking channel. Through a single interface, you can access common services such as cash management, trade finance, loans, commercial cards, foreign exchange, and data insights. In this session, I'll be taking you through a range of risk management and security features that are available when using our digital services, including ANZ Transactive Global. We are committed to helping you reduce the risk of these threats by providing a range of resources, such as this webinar. If you have access to ANZ Digital Service, you must understand your obligations in protecting your data, as online security is a shared responsibility. Following today's session, I would encourage you to view our digital services help page and resources on anz.com for further information on the topics discussed, as well as revisiting our previous webinars. And I will show you how to find these at the end of today's session. You will see that the Teams chat function is disabled for this session. However, you can ask questions using the Q&A tab, which is located at the top of the screen. My colleagues are online and will answer as many questions as possible as we go. Today's training session is being recorded. The video and a copy of the Q&As, including any questions we're unable to answer during the session, will be published in our digital services help in the coming days, so you can re-watch or share with colleagues who weren't able to join us live. And the last thing before we start, this session is being conducted using a training environment, which means some of the screens and the system behaviour may appear different to what you see in ANZ Transactive Global. So please keep that in mind as we go. For anything outside of ANZ Transactive Global, we will show screens from Digital Services Help and ANZ.com. Today, I would like to start by explaining how to securely log in to ANZ Transactive Global. There are several ways to access the user log-on screen. We recommend navigating to anz.com by typing the web address in your browser and not using a search engine. Select Institutional from the top menu bar and then click on ANZ Transactive Global button under Login. Here, you will then use your user ID and security credentials such as a password or a security device to log on. These credentials verify your identity when signing into the platform and managing or approving transactions. After entering your user ID, your individual logon experience will vary depending on whether you're a password-only user or have access to a security device. While security devices are not currently required for all users, ANZ does strongly recommend the use of one for all users regardless of their access level, as they provide an increased layer of security via two-factor authentication, or 2FA. 2FA confirms your digital identity using a combination of something you know, your user ID or password, and something you have, a security device. Use of both means that even if an unauthorised person obtains your user ID and password, that information alone is insufficient to access your digital channels. ANZ offers two types of security devices: a physical token and the ANZ digital key. Many of you will be familiar with physical tokens for ANZ Transactive Global. It is a handheld device that resembles a calculator and enables you to log on and authenticate activities and transactions using a PIN to generate either an e-signature or a one-time password on the device. The second 2FA method available is the ANZ digital key. This is our digital security device in the form of an app, which can be installed on your camera-enabled mobile device and allows you to log on and authenticate ANZ digital channel activities and transactions using Face ID, fingerprint, or PIN. ANZ Digital Key is compatible with Apple devices running on version 13 or later and Android devices running on version 9 or later. Using the ANZ digital key as a digital token replaces the need to carry a physical security device. It is possible to have both the token and the ANZ digital key, and for some users it may be beneficial to have access to both types. Please also remember the device you log on with is the device you must then perform approvals with. Australia and New Zealand customers can cancel or request a security device at any time by completing an amend user request in the service request menu of ANZ Transactive Global. For all other regions on the call today, please discuss with your company administrator to arrange the relevant forms for completion. Please also note that KYC is a requirement for security device approvers, which is Know Your Customer. This is registered with ANZ for approving payments and direct debits. Many of you on the webinar today will be familiar with our KYC process. KYC is what we do to identify who you are. KYC isn't just for new customers, it is for all customers, regardless of tenure. By having the right customer information, we can help protect you and reduce the risk of financial crime. ANZ recommends conducting a regular health check on your organisation's ANZ Transactive Global security settings and user permissions. This may involve several items that I will now take you through, starting with segregation of duties. Having a single individual perform all functions within the digital channel can increase the risk of fraudulent activity going undetected. As such, ANZ strongly recommends a segregation of duties amongst multiple users. This includes using multiple administrators when making changes to user profiles and system settings, as well as ensuring different users are involved when creating and approving transactions. To ensure you have implemented a segregation of duties across ANZ Transactive Global, check that your administration model provides a segregation of duties for changes made to user profiles and system settings. Check the authorization model that is in place for each payment and direct debit is appropriate, and check that your users have the correct roles assigned for the tasks they undertake. Check that all new and changes made to payees in your payee list require approval, and consider receiving an email notification each time a change is made to a payee in your payee list. We also recommend documenting your organisation's procedures that describe the expectations of the accounts payable staff and the designated approvers, for example, phoning your known contact to confirm a change in account number. Let's explore these all in a bit more detail. Your organisation will be set up with either dual or triple administration model. The most common model is the dual administration, where a minimum of 2 administrators are required to effect changes. Using this model, administrators can modify their own permissions, but do require a second administrator to approve the changes. ANZ Transactive Global also offers a triple administration model, where a minimum of 3 administrators are required to effect the changes. If you use a dual administration model, we would recommend that you would require a minimum of 2 administrators. And if you are using a triple administration model, this will require at least a minimum of 3 administrators to manage the channel. Changes to administration models are configured by ANZ. For clients in Australia, forms can be downloaded and submitted through the service request menu. For all other regions on the call, please discuss again with your company administrator to arrange relevant forms for completion. One control in ANZ Transactive Global to assist in reducing scams and fraud is to enable approval for the addition of new payees and changes to existing payees. This can be reviewed by an administrator and edited as required via these steps. Within the administration menu in ANZ Transactive Global, select Other Settings submenu. In the division settings, I can see the divisions for my organisation. If I select to test Division 1, you will notice in the Product Settings field, a list of options will display. Ensure the checkbox is ticked for approval required for changes to payer list items for both payments and direct debits. Select Edit, make the changes required, and select Save. You will notice that my site is only showing direct debits. However, your live site will have both options. This change will then be submitted for approval based on your administration model. If you have multiple divisions, please review each division for your organisation and update as required. Authorisation models for payments and direct debits can also be reviewed and amended from the same screen. ANZ recommends an approval model of 2 or more individuals for all payment types. This helps to protect your organisation and minimise unintended errors. Under the Authorisation Matrix heading, you can see my screen shows this division requires the following: 2 to authorise direct credits, RTGS and NPP payment types, and both international payment types require a panel to approve. And lastly, an internal transfer does only require 1 authorisation. A panel approval allows your organisation to set up threshold amounts and up to 6 approver sequences for approving payments and direct debit requests. You can also create account rules if your organisation requires restrictions on who can approve based on the funding account. More about this topic can be found in our ANZ Digital Services Help, including the recorded webinar we held on the 14th of May, which also covers this topic in more detail. And I will show you how to navigate to this at the end of the webinar. To stay up to date with new and changes made to your pay list and other payment-related scenarios, an email notification can be sent to your registered email address. To set this important feature up, navigate to your user settings in the control bar. From the drop-down, select Notifications and Alerts. Navigate to the Beneficiary Updates. Slide the toggle across to enable this feature. You will then receive an email notification each time a beneficiary in your pay list has been updated and approved, allowing you to validate that this change is legitimate. You may also wish to enable other notifications. As you can see, we have several email notifications available. To check users have the correct roles and permissions assigned to them, ANZ recommends referring to the user management screen to regularly review existing user access and deleting or disabling any inactive users. This will assist in safeguarding your organisation's account and information by reducing the risk of unauthorised access. To complete this review, a report can first be run to identify the roles each user is entitled to. An administrator can navigate to the administration from the main menu, select Reports from the submenu, click New, and select the report type. I would suggest running a user details report, which will provide user credentials and approver discretions. Select the file type, and if required, the language and encoding. Scroll down to the users and select Add All, or any specific users required. Select Run the report now, or you can schedule the report. Selecting Schedule will allow you to schedule this report at a day and time required. Select the frequency and the dates and give the report a name. Select Deliver by email to have this report emailed to you, protected by your report retrieval code. You can also tick the checkbox to share the report profile with others in your organisation with the appropriate permissions. Select Save Report Profile, and this report will be emailed to you on the selected date to save you logging on to ANZ Transactive Global to retrieve. Here is a sample of the detail that would be included in a user detail report. To set your report retrieval code, from the User Settings drop-down in the Application banner, select Settings and Preferences. Scroll down to Report Retrieval Code, enter the code you wish to use, and then select Save. This will act as a password to access encrypted schedule reports that are sent to your email address. Please note that this is your code and it can be changed at any time. Okay, it's also important to review user limits and payment discretions, and ANZ Transactive Global has some preset limits for approving payments, restricting the transaction value users can authorise. I'm showing the present default limits on my screen now, which can be found in our Digital Services help. Your company administrator can amend users' discretion limits based on your structured business requirements. If you wish to review or make amendments to your payment limits, an administrator can select a user via the User Management submenu and select Edit. Select the role you wish to view. There are 3 types of payments that can have a limit applied. I'll just switch over to the next screen. Give me a second. There we go. Daily is the total amount a user is permitted to approve in one day, and this user has a limit of $10,000. Batch, the amount a user is permitted to approve for a batch, which is showing $100,000. And transaction, the amount a user is permitted to approve for one transaction, which does include single items in a batch. And as you can see, this user has a limit of $50,000. This screen also tells me the discretions are applied to all payments. I can select product specific, allowing the input of limits to different payments being domestic versus international payment types. Make any required changes and then select Save. This will also need to be sent for approval based on your authorisation model. Repeat this process for any other users as required. At ANZ, we provide security audit trails that report on activities performed within ANZ Transactive Global. We have several report types, and these include an administration audit history report, which provides an audit history of changes made to roles and to users. A user activity report. This details users' interactions with the system, including timestamps, IP addresses, services, functions, and actions involved. Payment and direct debit audit reports, which details date, type, status, totals, and who created or approved or modified a payment or direct debit. A payment and direct debit template audit report, which provides an audit report for changes made to a template. And a beneficiary audit report. This provides an audit report for changes made to a beneficiary in your payee list. Audit reports can be exported to a CSV and a PDF and are available indefinitely. Let's now run a report. So from the Report Center menu, select Report Profiles and then select New. If we are running a payment audit report, first select Payments from the drop-down, then Payments Audit Report. Select the format that is required and give the report a name. Select your date or date range. And if you would like this report set up as a schedule, enter your schedule details. Add the details and then click Run. The report will then be available to download in either your Notifications Center or the Download Reports submenu. And as you can see, it now shows in our list of report profiles. ANZ also offers customers access to the IBM Security Trusteer report. This free software focuses on multi-layered protection against financial malware and complements your existing antivirus software. For more information on this, please refer to our security software page on anz.com, which I am now showing on my screen. ANZ also has a dedicated fraudulent payments service team for you to contact for immediate support to mitigate fraudulent activity. They can be contacted directly through the contact button in the application banner of your ANZ Transactive Global logon. For users in Australia, it can also digitally identify and verify you without needing to answer security questions or select from menu options on your keypad or for your phone. Start by selecting the country you are calling from. In this instance, I'll select Australia. Then select one of the 5 topics. Select Report Fraud or Unusual Activity, and by selecting this, you'll be provided a unique one-time phone number and access code to enter into your phone, and you'll be connected with our customer protection team. For those of you on the call from another country, when you select your region, a list of contact numbers will be provided for you to dial, and you will need to be identified by our teams. This Contact Us option can also be used if you receive a call from someone claiming to be from ANZ. If you are ever unsure, please hang up and dial ANZ from here. An important tip: ANZ will never ask for your password, your PIN, or a one-time password, OTP. Never provide these codes or access to anyone, even if they claim to work for ANZ. ANZ will also never ask you to install software for a live chat or remote access purposes. Equally important as securely logging on is securely logging off. While ANZ Transactive Global will automatically log you out after 15 minutes of inactivity, we recommend that users safely end every session by using the log off button in the navigation bar at the top right, and then closing the browser. Lastly, as promised, I said I would show you our digital help that we have been referring to during the webinar. Simply click on the help icon in the application banner of your ANZ Transactive Global login, and this will open ANZ Digital Services Help in a new tab. ANZ Digital Services Help is an online self-service database of step-by-step guides, instructional videos, and frequently asked questions for our digital channels, including ANZ Transactive Global. Within the Help portal, select the search function to search for specific areas of interest. For example, I can type panel authorisation to quickly view detailed instructions for how to set up or manage this function. You can also register for an up-and-coming webinar session here. You can also view our recorded webinars you may have missed. I would also encourage you to take a look at the security menu we have within Online Help. A lot of the topics we have covered today can be found here, and that includes also a security video we have recently added. And I would also encourage you to take a look at anz.com for a range of support information and material relating to how ANZ can support you at work to stay protected against cyber threats, but also in your personal banking too. And that brings us to the end of our ANZ Digital Services Security webinar. On the page I'm about to display is a list of our upcoming webinars, together with a QR code to register for the upcoming events. A reminder that a recording of this session, as well as the question and answers, will be added to our Digital Services Help in the coming days, should you wish to rewatch or share with a colleague. You can get to ANZ Digital Services Help by scanning this QR code on the screen or by clicking on the Help icon next time you are signed in to ANZ Transactive Global. I hope this session has been of value, and we look forward to you attending our future ANZ Transactive Global webinars soon. Thank you.